For those of you who don't know me, my name is Laura Duffy. I'm the United States Attorney for the Southern District of California, and I'd like to introduce the gentlemen who are up here beside me. To my left is Ron Davis. He is the Director of the Department of Justice's Community Policing Office, and that is a, community-oriented policing, and that is commonly referred to by the acronym of COPS. And you may have heard that, and that's a term that we're going to be using today. To my right are two gentlemen that need no introduction here, but we have the Mayor of Calexico, John Moreno, and our Chief of Police, Michael Bostic. We are here today to announce that the Department of Justice is stepping in to conduct an independent assessment of the Calexico Police Department, which all of you know has been the focus of national media attention and is the subject of a separate FBI investigation as a result of allegations of corruption and misconduct. Well, shortly after the FBI launched its separate investigation, Chief Bostic reached out to the Department of Justice and requested this assessment. The COPS office is the federal agency that is responsible for advancing community policing nationwide. Part of its mandate is to conduct assessments of police departments, assessments looking at reform in police departments. And in addition to just conducting the assessment, part of their mandate is to provide a roadmap for helping agencies achieve improvements when they're facing significant law enforcement challenges. This review, as we all know, comes at a time when departments across the country are receiving federal scrutiny. But it is scrutiny that is being invited by departments across the country. The Calexico Police Department, like many other departments across the nation, are using these assessments and reviews. They're requesting these assessments and reviews as a way to confront issues of concern for departments and for the community. And it's the Justice Department's goal, as Director Davis will tell you, in conducting this assessment of the Calexico Police Department, to really come in and serve this community of Calexico, and to do that by providing an independent and an objective evaluation that can be used to transform this law enforcement agency. And it's going to do that through an analysis of the practices, the policies, the tactics, the training, and the accountability methods that are in place to address issues of policing. The COPS reviewers are going to spend months analyzing the department. Then they will issue a report with recommendations. That review is going to include interviews with department officials. It will include direct observations of police action. It will include interviews with members of the community stakeholders, and there'll be a lot of research and analysis that is done following this collection of data. I've had the pleasure of having several conversations and meetings with Chief Bostic, and I feel like I have a pretty good sense of his vision and his commitment to the Calexico Police Department. And I can tell you that it is all squarely focused on restoring the reputation of this department to one of competency and to one of trustworthiness in this community, restoring that force in this community. This review, which is going to be performed at no cost to the city of Calexico, is going to be an excellent first step in moving forward to identify issues and to understanding what the remedies are that can be used to address the shortcomings that we find. But more important than that, this is a critical step in rebuilding relationships of trust between members of the community and police officers who are sworn to protect and to serve the community of Calexico. And now I want to introduce you to Director Davis of COPS. The director came to COPS from the East Palo Alto Police Department, which is in the Bay Area, where he was the chief from 2005 to 2013. And prior to being in Palo Alto, he served as a member of the Oakland Police Department for over 19 years. There he rose to the rank of captain. He served many roles in the Oakland Police Department before becoming captain. He has a tremendous amount of experience that he brings to this role. He was the director of their police academy. He was the criminal investigations commander. He was a patrol commander and inspector general of the police department. Director Davis, you're going to come to learn and see, is really a leader in community policing throughout the country. And he has had a dramatic impact, and the teams that he has led have had a dramatic impact on the communities in which he has served and the projects on which they've worked. So I feel very confident, and I know the chief and the mayor do, that he is exactly the right man to lead these efforts. And so with no further ado, Chief.
Good afternoon. Let me first start by thanking our U.S. Attorney Laura Duffy for her leadership, for not only dealing with this issue, but just for providing overall public safety for her district. I think she gave you a very good explanation of the collaborative reform process. I'm just going to provide a more description of it so you can understand the process itself. So as Laura mentioned, the COPS office was created in 1994 as part of the Crime Control Act. And many people know it because we provide a lot of services to communities. We provide hiring grants throughout the years. Many agencies receive on an annual basis grants to hire. And we provide technical assistance and training. I think to date we've trained over 700,000 law enforcement agencies. We do community policing development, research and development, identify best practices, and we provide critical response to agencies in need. And we provide that in agencies ranging from Seattle right now to New Orleans to Ferguson. But we have this collaborative reform process that started in 2011. The first location that the department selected was the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Now what this process is a right now it's about a 2.5 year to 3 year process in which we start, which was mentioned, with an assessment. And this assessment is a thorough, really a thorough look into the police departments. Let me stop here because I hear something else going on here.
Hey, mute.
Thank you. Yeah, for those on the phone, I apologize. We have a couple reporters on the phone. We want to be inclusive, so make sure they mute it. The collaborative reform process, I mentioned before, started back in 2011, and it's about a 2.5 to 3 year process. What makes it strong is it starts with a very independent, thorough, and objective assessment of the police department, looking at policies, practices, responsiveness, training, and as we proceed forward the next couple of weeks, we'll start nailing down specific areas that we will focus on, but generally it's a very thorough assessment of the department. That could take anywhere from 8 to 10 months. In some cases, it may have taken a little bit longer, but we want to basically identify exactly what's going on inside the police department, and in doing this, that we can identify then what's working, what's not working, where there's deficiencies, and then be able to provide recommendations on how to then make those changes necessary to bring the department to best practices of constitutional policing. Once we, the strength of the program too is once we identify after this 8 or 10 months, this first assessment, we will produce a report that becomes a public report. It's a report for the community, it's a report for the police department, and quite frankly, it's a report for the nation to identify exactly what we found, where there's strengths, where there's weaknesses, if there's lack in supervision, leadership, but more important than just the findings, is we also provide the recommendations. So for example, in Philadelphia, we just finished the first assessment. It's about a 188-page report in which we have 40+ findings for the department on things that they can do or things we identified could be done differently or better in dealing with the issue of use of force. And we provided them 91 recommendations on how to now fix things that are broken, how to enhance things that are working, and how to ensure that they can reduce force and have a strong relationship with their community. But after this assessment, we don't walk away at that point. We then work with the department to provide them technical assistance in helping them implement the changes that are recommended. We will give the community and the department a progress report 6 months after the first assessment. This allows you to see, as a community member, what exactly is happening within your own department, whether or not they're implementing the recommendations, and if they're not, why? And if there's a good reason, why? If there's not, we're very independent objective, we'll let you know that there's no good reason. But we will still provide assistance. Now, after the 6-month report, we don't leave then either. We still continue to partner with the department and the community, and we will then, at a year after that report, do a final report that tells you now, a year and a half later, where the department's at with regards to implementation. Now, during that period, we don't just disappear and come back. Teams will continually be here, and they will help, once again, the department implement some of the changes. We're in a position to provide technical assistance and training, whether it's dealing with fair and impartial policing, procedural justice. We can connect the department to the best practices and the top experts in the country to help them implement the best practices that exist. Now, all of this is important, and the key to our program is that this is an assessment, not an investigation. This is also voluntary. So the collaborative reform process, we use the word collaborative reform because it is a collaboration between the Department of Justice, the City of Calexico, the Calexico Police Department, and the community of Calexico. This is not something that will be done in private. The publications, the progress report will be public information, and we're going to be seeking in many venues information, input, feedback, criticism, compliments from the community so that we can make very holistic assessments, accurate assessments, and more importantly, identify how to proceed forward. So but it is voluntary. Now, right now, we're in a couple places to give an idea of where this is working. As I mentioned before, we have started and completed Las Vegas. And that one had over 75 recommendations we gave to Las Vegas. And quite frankly, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department implemented something like 95% of the recommendations. The remaining ones are still in negotiation with their police union. But their shootings have gone down, the relationship is much stronger. And I think if you talk to a lot of the leaders in that area, they will tell you that the progress has been very notable. It's still the kind of work that has to be done every day. We provided a roadmap. We're also in Baltimore. We are in St. Louis County, which includes Ferguson. We are in Salinas. We just announced that about 2 months ago. We are in Spokane, Washington. We are in Fayetteville, I want to say North Carolina, correct? I keep mixing, my team is shaking his head, thank you. And now we're in Calexico. We would expect through the support of the administration and Congress with our new budget coming on, that we will double, if not triple, the amount of locations next year as well. Now, in deciding whether to come here, the first thing that I did mention is that, and you heard Laura say this, that this is voluntary, which means the chief asked for it. So as we proceed forward, I want you to really think about what that means. When you have a police chief is saying to the federal government, please come in the United States Department of Justice and take a look at what we're doing. And he does so knowing that we're going to look at it independently, objectively, thoroughly, and that's the best way to serve him is to give him the truth. But he recognizes that the truth may hurt, but selective ignorance is absolutely fatal. And so not knowing can cause more damage to the organization than understanding what's right in front of you and being able to fix it so that the people trust you. And so it has to be voluntary. For me, in making my decision, if I'm going to allow us to come into a city, I don't look at just the fact that someone has volunteered. I also need to have confidence that the leadership, and in this case, Chief Bostic and the city manager have both agreed to participate fully and to make sure that they are going to lead the department through the recommendations that we identify. So we have to have confidence that there's strong leadership, that there's a will not only from the police department, but from the city, through the city manager, and that there's a desire and willingness of the community to participate. And all the evidence suggests that this would be a great place for us to do this project. Because I want you to understand, when we look at Calexico, for those that live here, I know this is home. This is where you want to feel safe. This is where you want your police department to be responsive. But there are over 18,000 police departments in this country. And not only will we work with Calexico so that it serves you better, but how we do it, the lessons that are learned from that will be a national model. Because the majority of police departments in this country are small agencies the same size of this police department. So not only will we work together for the next 2.5, 3 years to make this place better, but in doing so, we will help a lot of agencies. The reports we have out there now in Philadelphia, Spokane, and Las Vegas are widely downloaded. They're printed. People are using them to do their self-assessments. We're learning a lot of lessons, and hopefully the lesson that will come out of here is how you work in partnership with the community to transform the community so that you have stronger relationships between the community and the police department. If I can close by saying this, if we look at where we're at this particular time in our history, then I think these kind of efforts, the idea that local police departments will partner with their community, with federal assistance, because one of the things that's also very important to us at the COPS office is this cannot be the only effort in Calexico. If the department if any police department is looking for us to reform or transform them by ourselves, we would say that that's not what we can do. It has to come locally. We have to make sure that this effort, this comprehensive effort for the next 2.5 years, has to be part of a larger reform effort or transformational effort that's already underway. That's also what intrigues us to want to be here and why we think we can be very successful and help the chief and the city in its efforts. But if you look at where we're at as a country, right now, trust in police is probably at an all-time low. Whether justified or not, the reality is that people need to have trust in their police department. Public safety demands it. And if you don't have it, then that compromises safety not only here, but throughout the United States. So we need to do everything humanly possible to bridge the gap between the police departments and the community, to implement the kind of policies and practices that people have confidence in, that are constitutionally based, that respect diversity, embrace it and applaud it, and not penalize it, that make sure there's not disparate treatment of any groups, whether they're immigrant populations, young men of color, that everyone has equal justice under the law. And if we can't do that, then we do compromise public safety. Because for me, public safety is not just the absence of crime. It must include the presence of justice. And so as we work together, we will definitely make sure that that theme, that motto is something that resonates not only here, but throughout the country. And so I think, quite frankly, Calexico is in a unique position. For even those who wonder if Calexico can do it, whether this is a good department or bad department, I think let's agree on one thing. There's a unique opportunity for Calexico to now rise and lead through its own trials and tribulations, through its own leadership, to be able to show the country a path on how to improve trust and confidence. Because I would tell you, in addition to serving as the director of the COPS office, I recently had the honor of being the executive director of the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. And as we proceed forward with this process, they are very much linked. The practices on how you have accountability and supervision and training and collaboration are all recommendations in the task force report. This is how we respond as a nation. This is how we strengthen relationship. So I'm very excited to work with the city. Please know I'm looking forward to get to know people in the community. The COPS office will be partnering with Hilliard Hines, which is a consulting group that has some of the top experts in the country that they're putting together to serve this project. So you will be in some great hands. You will have some of the leading edge thinking and really practitioners and researchers and academics on this project to make sure that we can help serve and provide that assistance. And I look forward to you guys' questions.
Mayor?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Moreno, Mayor of the City of Calexico, and I applaud the Department of Justice, our Chief of Police, Michael Bostic, for bringing this to the forefront. All agencies, whether they be public or private, are always looking for ways to improve. And when we get this assessment, I'm sure that all of the public, the community will have a hand in it to say, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do next? We're going to assess, we're going to evaluate, and then we're going to execute. The public agency that the City of Calexico is part of, it's a greater picture. We are involved in many aspects of law enforcement. Law enforcement in the form of federal, state, and local. We will be a premier law enforcement agency throughout our area with the help of the Department of Justice. So I know that our community, I know that our elected officials, Mr. Hurtado, Mr. Real, who are here today, are also on board for this change. We need this change, which is a big piece of the puzzle to make our police department a first-rate police department. So I thank you all for being here. I thank the Department of Justice and your teams that are here to share with the community what is going on. So with that, I will end and let the Chief of Police speak.
Thank you. And my fellow council members, no, not fellow council members, my council members, I've already elevated myself. This is it's a great day for me, and it seems kind of odd to be a chief of police and say it's a great day to have the Department of Justice coming in and being a partner with you, but I sincerely mean that. We have the opportunity of, we're a very unique city in Calexico. I don't think we value the treasure that we have. We're a border city. We're an international border city. We have every law enforcement agency known in America in our city. We have a great future potential ahead of us. The economy is going to turn around, and it's turning around in our city. We have everything going for us. And this piece of the puzzle is phenomenal. The talent that the Department of Justice is bringing to us to teach us to be the best police department can be. And believe me, I am not the expert. I am really looking forward to any help that I can get. But what I'm most excited about is I already have a new agency. For those of you who haven't been around the Calexico Police Department in the past few months or the past few weeks, I've had to make some personnel decisions. I got handed a mess and I had to clean it up. And I don't look back on that because the cloud lifted. I can't describe it any other way. And the light now shines in the Calexico Police Department. And now we have some torchbearers coming in to bring some more light into the Calexico Police Department. And as long as I'm the chief of this agency, this community will always know what's going on in the Calexico Police Department. I'm gonna make some mistakes along the way, I can guarantee it, because I am a human being. But I'm gonna be the first one to admit it, and I'm gonna ask my department to step up and do the same. We've had several meetings this morning with the staff of Mr. Davis and his staff and the U.S. Attorney's Office. What great people, what fantastic people. I haven't been excited about much at this stage of my life because I've been through a lot, but I really am excited because I can see a path forward that I'm gonna learn a lot. It's gonna make me a better leader. I'm gonna get to work with my community leaders and become a better leader for them. And they're gonna make this path forward for us. And as we do this, the winner is the citizens of Calexico. You can trust your police department, I can guarantee it, and it's only gonna get better. I really do want us to be a model agency, not just for California, but for the rest of the United States. This is so possible. I have great people in my organization. They're willing people. They sat there today listening to what was coming, and they are actually looking forward to it. And you can imagine being a police agency saying the U.S. Department of Justice is coming in on a collaborative effort. It's kind of a nice term, but they're still the U.S. Department of Justice, you know? And it is a great term, and they've taken it extremely well. Two members of the board of directors of my POA were there today, and they're looking forward to it. This has been an amazing 6 months as the chief of the Calexico Police Department, but the best is yet to come, and you haven't seen anything yet. The service that we have planned for this city and the plan forward that we're already designing, even before they finish their review of our department, I'm excited about that, and I've always shared that with you. And I am really proud of the media in my city. Again, I've said this a million times. In Los Angeles, I'd have a press conference and never know where my statements were going to go and what story they were going to be used on. Calexico, you're honorable journalists, and I appreciate it. And the Imperial Valley, you tell the story like we tell it. And that's going to be a great part of moving forward in this collaborative effort of getting the community the truth. Because there's lots of people who lie to this community. It's disgusting what people say in this community, in social media and other places. And this is where the truth comes out. The truth comes out in the light, in public, one person to another, telling the truth, sharing their story, admitting their faults, and being honest about what's happening in Calexico. And now, I have some great light bearers to come and do it along with me. And it's going to be a great opportunity for us in the city of Calexico. I've already trained my wife that it's going to probably take a lot longer than I thought. You all kept saying Calexico is going to grow on me. Too late, it's already part of me. It hasn't grown on me, it's now part of who I am. I was at a car show this weekend and in the city of Calexico, and it was a tremendous experience. I mean, every part of the Mexican culture I could possibly experience was happening in the streets of Calexico. But what most importantly I'm thrilled about is the Spanish-speaking community is not even afraid of the fact that I don't speak Spanish. They come and bring somebody with them that speaks English to come and talk to me. It's really awesome to watch what's happening in Calexico. I'm proud of my officers, I'm proud of my department, and I'm really looking forward to the next few years of serving the community in a very different way than they've ever experienced in the past. So